Hello and welcome to a day in 15 minutes UPSC Prelims Daily Current Affairs by Ekam IAS. Today is 23rd February 2020 and the topics for discussion are the Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Urban Mission, then comes the Habitable Zone Planet Finder, 5G Hackathon, Kalo India University Games, Ask Disha, and finally the KALEAKEE language. Now coming to the first topic of the day, which is the Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Urban Mission. Now this is in news because the 4th anniversary of the launch of the Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Urban Mission was recently observed. Now the Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Urban Mission was launched in 2016 with the vision to deliver catalytic interventions to rural areas on the threshold of growth. Now this mission is actually implemented by the Union Ministry of Rural Development. Now the Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Urban Mission focuses on the cluster-based integrated development through spatial planning. Now, urban clusters actually are identified across the country's rural areas, which actually show increasing signs of urbanizations. That few signs are the increasing population density, high levels of non-farm employment, presence of growing economic activities, and some other socio-economic parameters. So, these are the few basic ideas from which you can say that a rural area is starting to turn into an urban area. Now this mission actually aims to transform these urban clusters by stimulating local economic development, enhancing basic services and creating a well-planned urban cluster. Now this would also lead to a holistic development of the region and encourage integrated and inclusive rural development so that everyone is included in the total development of that area. Now under this mission, 300 urban clusters are envisaged to be developed in a time-bound manner. Now, the Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Urban Mission is actually a core centrally sponsored scheme. This is a very, very important point. And this mission has two fund streams. Now, the first one is the convergence through various central sector schemes, the centrally sponsored schemes, and the state sector or sponsored schemes or programs. Now, after that, there is the critical gap fund. Now, basically in this, it provides for the critical gap fund of 30 crores per cluster for non-tribal clusters and up to 15 crore plus per cluster for the tribal and hilly state clusters. Now, infrastructure planned in these clusters actually includes provision of 24/7 water supply to all the households, solid and liquid waste management facilities at the household and the cluster level, provision of inter and intra-village roads within the cluster, adequate street lights and public transport facilities using green technologies. Now the economic amenities in a cluster comprise of various thematic areas in the sectors of agri-services and processing, tourism and skill development basically to promote the small and medium scale enterprises. Now coming to the next topic of the day, which is the Habitable Zone Planet Finder. Now the Habitable Zone Planet Finder, or the HPF in short, has actually confirmed its first planet or the exoplanet, which it calls the G940b, which is orbiting a nearby low mass bright M dwarf star. Now talking in detail about this news, see the newly confirmed planet, which is actually called the G940b, is the first one to be validated by the Habitable Zone Planet Finder. Now understand, NASA's Kepler mission observed a dip in the host star's light, suggesting that the planet was crossing it in front of the star during its orbit. Now this planet that has been recently found is about twice the size of the Earth and it orbits the star once every 6 Earth days. Now coming and talking about the Habitable Zone Planet Finder, see the HPF is actually an astronomical spectrograph which is built by the Penn State University scientists. And recently it was installed in the 10-meter Hobby Earthly telescope at the McDonald Observatory in Texas. Now this instrument is actually designed to detect and characterize planets in the habitable zone. Now what is this habitable zone? It is a region around a star where a planet could sustain liquid water on its surface, which means it is not too hot for the water to evaporate and it is not too cold also, where the water actually remains as ice, where the water will remain in the liquid state, which can thereby give an indication of life, that life is possible wherein a planet is liquid in nature. Okay, now the HPF is actually searching for exoplanets using the Doppler effect. Now, basically understand this, as a planet is orbiting a star, it exerts tiny gravitational pull on the star itself. Now, this causes the star to have a little bit of a wobble or slight of a vibration. Now, just as a moving siren causes the pitch heard by a stationary observer to change, the star's motion causes the absorption lines in its spectrum to shift in the wavelength very slightly. In simple words, I know that all of you have felt this when you stand in a railway station and when a train is coming or approaching towards the platform, while ringing its sirens, the frequency or the sound which the train creates while approaching the platform, it slowly starts to increase, or the pitch of that sound starts to increase. And as soon as it passes you on the platform, again automatically the pitch also starts to decrease. This phenomena is what you call the observable area of the Doppler effect. Similarly, as you see Doppler effect happening with sound, the same thing is also possible with light, and that is what is happening in this case. When the planet is traversing around the star, this causes the star basically to wobble a little bit from its initial position. So since the star itself is wobbling, the light coming out of the star for the receiver will also change a little bit, and this slight frequency or change in the frequency or pitch of this light is what is actually detected. Now understand, the HPF spectrograph targets small cold stars which is actually called M dwarf. Now these stars emit most of their light in the infrared wavelength, so HPF will be optimized to detect near infrared light. Now coming to the next topic of the day, which is 5G hackathon. Now this is in news because the Department of Telecommunication has announced its 5G hackathon. Now talking about this, understand it was launched by the Department of Telecommunications in association with a number of governments, academia and industry stakeholders. Now it aimed at shortlisting India-focused cutting-edge ideas that can be converted into a workable 5G products and solutions. Now participants can actually develop 5G solutions from across 10 categories, and it is open to developers, students, startups, SMEs, academic institutions and registered companies in India and also for NRIs. Now coming and talking about the basic idea about what is a 5G or what is 5G basically. Now understand, 5G is the next generation cellular technology. Understand, in today's generation what we are actually using is what something called 4G, which all of you are familiar with, and 5G is going to be the upgraded version of that or the next generation. Now this will provide faster and more reliable communication with ultra low latency. Now latency is basically the amount of time that data takes to travel between its source and its destination. In simple words, the time taken for data to be traveled from the sender to the receiver. That's all. Now it also increases the energy efficiency and offers a stable network condition. A government panel report points out that with 5G, the peak network data speeds are expected to be in the range of 2 to 20 gigabyte per second. Now this is in stark contrast with the 4G link speed, which is having an average of 6 to 7 megabyte per second in India compared to 25 megabytes per second in advanced countries. So if we get 5G, it is going to be incredibly fast. Now coming to the next topic of the day, which is Kalo India University Games. Now this is in news because the Prime Minister Narendra Modi has declared the first ever Kalo India University Games open. Now talking about this, the Prime Minister declared this Kalo India University Games open at Cuttack in Odisha. Now India has joined the league of countries in the world where university games are organized at this level. Now the event sees participation of 3,000 young players from 159 universities across the country who are vying for top honors across 17 disciplines. Now the Kalo India National Program for Development of Sports, it was launched by the Ministry of Sports and Youth Affairs in 2017. It has been formed after the merger of the Rajiv Gandhi Khel Abhiyan, Urban Sports Infrastructure Scheme, and finally the National Sports Talent Search Scheme. This basically aims to strengthen the entire sports ecosystem and to promote a twin objective of mass participation and promotion of excellence in sports across the country. Now, all the verticals of Kalo India scheme focuses on broad basing of sports among the youth of the country. Now, a pan-Indian sports scholarship scheme which would cover around 1,000 most talented young athletes each year across the select sport disciplines is also going to happen. Talented players identified in priority sports disciplines at various levels by the high-powered committee will be provided an annual financial assistance of 5 lakh per annum for 8 years. Now coming to the next topic of the day, which is Ask Disha. Now see, Ask Disha is basically an artificial intelligence based chat box which was introduced by the Indian Railways in October of 2018, basically for the ticketing website which is irctc.co.in. Along with that, it also is introduced in the tourism website which is irctctourism.com of the Indian Railways Catering and Tourism Corporation Limited. Now the chat box is a special computer program designed to stimulate conversation with users, especially over the internet. It was initially launched in English language, but IRCTC has now powered voice-enabled Ask Disha to converse with the customers in Hindi language as well. Now coming to the next topic, which is the KALEAKEE language. Now understand, this is in news because it was launched in the eve of the International Mother Language Day, which is February 21, by the KALEAKEE Research Foundation of India. Now KALEAKEE language is actually a fictional language which was created by the popular lyricist and screenwriter Madhavan Karski. As you all may know, this actually was created in the year of 2018 for the Indian blockbuster cinema, which is Bahubali. Now this language has now evolved into a language with script, grammar and more than 3,000 words for everyday communication, and it is considered as the world's easiest language and also the youngest language. So that's all for today. If you have any doubts or queries, you can write down in the comment section below. Thank you and good night.
Please like, share and subscribe to our channel for more videos. Follow our website neoiascap.com for detailed content and monthly prelims digest. Also join our current affairs exclusive test series through the website. And finally, participate in the daily current affairs prelims infotainment quiz at our Telegram channel Neo IAS Prelims at 9:30 p.m. every day. Thank you.